Namaste, yogis. My name is Amy Wansing. I am a yoga instructor at Movement Boulder, as well as Earth Treks Golden and Inglewood. And tonight I'm sharing with you a 60-minute restorative yoga practice. So if you are going to practice with us at home here, it might be helpful to grab a couple props. This is a prop-based practice. So we have a couple couch cushions here or throw pillows. If you have a yoga block, that's great. If not, you could gather a stack of books. Grab a blanket or two. Might be handy to have a pillow. And then towels are really great props as well, and I've got it rolled up. So I'll show you how to do that. First, you want to take your towel, fold it in thirds, and then just roll it up. And so we'll use these to support the posture so we can hold them for a longer period of time to really deeply relax both our body and our nervous system. I've got Jake here who will be modeling the poses for us tonight, so you can follow along with him, and we'll get started by tuning into the breath. So just come to a comfortable seat, could be cross-legged or kneeling, whatever allows you to sit for a few moments comfortably. Feel your sitting bones start to root down into the support of whatever it is you're sitting on. Feel your shoulders stacked right over your hips and elongate your spine. Close your eyes down or fix your gaze at one point and get a little taller through the crown of your head. Soften your shoulders down your back and away from your ears. And we'll take just a couple deep breaths to start. Take a full inhale through your nose. And a big cleansing exhale out through your mouth. Let go of your day. Let's do two more like that. Nourish yourself with this next breath in. And exhale, begin to let go of tension. Just one final breath in. Fill up your lungs. Take in prana, that vital life force energy. And exhale to settle into here and now. Again, feel the groundedness of even weight in both sitting bones. Giving you a firm, solid foundation. And start to bring your attention to your breath. So there's nothing you have to change about your breath. Let it happen all on its own, and just begin to notice where it moves through your body from the moment your inhale appears until your exhale is completely emptied out. Notice where it is you feel your breath most distinctly in your body. Perhaps it's at the tip of your nose. Could be your chest or your abdomen, but notice your breath as felt sensation. Then notice how it feels to breathe more into the back of your body. Softening any harsh edges. Let your next breath drop a little lower in the body. Feel your ribs expand side to side. And allow your next inhale to softly expand your abdomen like a balloon. Taking these fuller, slower, deeper yogic breaths, expanding chest, ribs, and belly. Flutter your eyes open. We'll take just a few easy warm-up postures here to transition from our day into these longer, deeper holds. So again, you can stay in whatever comfortable seat you're in. Bring your hands to your lap, and we'll take just a few Sufi rotations to begin to open up the hips. So just begin to move your spine in circles around the base of your pelvis. You might keep your eyes closed for this. And start to synchronize your breath to your movement, inhaling as you rock back and exhaling as you rock forward. And really turn up the volume on all your felt senses here. So notice what you feel more than what you think. And the next time you lean forward, pause and reverse directions. Your guiding compass in this practice is what feels good. So don't worry about what it looks like. We're not so worried about alignment here in restorative, but really just what allows you to release tension in your body. Come up to a tall seat. We'll take just a few seated cat-cows. Bring your hands forward to your shins, or if you're kneeling to your knees, inhale, lift your chest, pull the shoulders back, arch your back. Exhale, round, curl in toward yourself like a cat. Inhale, lift the chest, shoulders down. And exhale, round. And just continue a few more cycles of breath at your own pace here, guided by the impulse of your intuition. Really try to feel every vertebrae in your spine participate. Take one more here. And exhale to round. Good. Come up to a tall seat, and we'll give a really juicy one for the neck here as our final warm-up before we get settled in. Take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, pull your fist down to lift the chest slightly, and then bring your fist over into your right hip crease, or just as far as you're able to. And then drop your ear down to the same side that your fist is on. So in this case, right ear to right shoulder. Close your eyes, tune into your body, and just take a few slow breaths. You might take some small, subtle movements, experimenting with lifting your chin up toward the sky, or down toward your chest, stopping at any sticky spots that feel good. And start to feel the interconnectedness of your body, how moving one part affects the entire whole. Bring your head back up to center. Slowly, gently shift your fist over to the other side, so left hip crease here, or just as far as you're able to go. Drop your left ear down to your left shoulder. Close your eyes and look for that Goldilocks spot, somewhere where you feel not too little, not too much, but just right. And feel the way that each breath affects the shape. Take one more slow, rounded breath here. There's no need to be in a hurry. And very gently come back to center, release your arms from behind you, and we'll settle into our first longer hold, which will be a supported child's pose. So come on to hands and knees. Bring your knees wide to the outer edges of your mat and your big toes to touch. And then we'll want to get some props stacked up here, so that your torso is completely supported. The aim is to feel entirely weightless here. So you might stack up a couple of your pillows with a blanket on top. Slide that into the V shape of your inner thighs, and then fold your torso down onto your support. resting one cheek down, and let your arms relax to the side as if in a hug. Now, if that's too much for your knees, you could lift your hips and either slide a blanket or take your towel into a longer fold. So we want a long, thin roll, and this could go underneath the crease of your hips to help support the knees. You could also slide it underneath your ankles if you need. Jay's got a nice soft bend in his elbows here, letting me know that he's not straining in the shoulders. And you just want to allow the fullness of your weight to be supported by your props here. So take as much movement as you need to get comfortable. And then once again, close your eyes and settle into feeling your breath as it moves through your body. Allow your hips to sink down toward your heels. Allow all the muscles along your spine to relax. Soften any tension you might be holding in your neck, your shoulders, your jaw. And feel everything slow down. Completely surrender to gravity here. And let go of any resistance, any struggle. And feel yourself being fully supported by your props. And resolve right here to remain present and aware as best as you're able to throughout all of class. And if you catch yourself in some distraction of the mind, then as soon as you notice, simply return your attention back to your breath, back to your body. Notice where your breath moves, where it gets stuck, or the particular sensations of each unique pose. But stay really curious as to how each new moment is unique. And know that even as we just rest here, breathing slow and steady, you're helping to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, or the state where our body can fully relax rather than being in a state of stress, or our sympathetic nervous system of fight or flight. And child's pose especially is really calming to the nervous system. So this is a great pose to take any time that you're feeling stressed or anxious. Know that this pose can help take you back home to yourself, to your center. Stay here for just a few more deep breaths. Feel your belly rise and fall against your thighs. And then very lazily, as if moving through a pool of molasses, slowly begin to bring your hands underneath you and push yourself up away from the floor. Come onto all fours, a tabletop position. We can take your props out of the way, just move them off to the side for now. So coming up, be very gentle on yourself. There's a deep stretch for the hips, the low back in child's pose. And we'll soften into the heart and shoulders next for puppy dog pose or Anahatasana, heart melting pose. Come into your tabletop position, all fours. Stack your hips right over your knees. And then begin to walk your palms forward until perhaps you can soften forehead down to the mat. So hips stay right over the knees, which makes this different than child's pose. Perfect. Now, if your forehead isn't able to touch the mat, no problem. You could take any of your blankets, pillows, or props and bring the floor closer to you as a headrest. If your shoulders are feeling tight, walk your palms a little wider to the outer edges of your mat. And there is absolutely no force or effort in this posture. It is completely one of surrender and receiving. So let your breath do the work. Inhale in between the shoulder blades into the back of your heart. And exhale, soften your heart down toward the floor. Stay here just a few breaths. Breathing really deeply. Soften any of those little contractions around your heart space. Release fear, release worry, and give yourself permission to relax. Just about 3 more breaths here. This is an excellent pose for climbers as it helps open up the rounding of the shoulders, but is really great for improving posture for any of us. Take one more final deep, expansive breath in. Savor the entire exhale. And then slowly, gently walk your palms back underneath your shoulders. Come back to that tabletop position. Does that feel okay? We'll come into Halfmoon Pose next, which is a nice side bend. So you'll want to grab whatever would simulate a bolster here. A bolster is a big rectangular shaped pillow. I've got a rolled up blanket here. Now that's not going to be very stiff, and so I'll stack it up here, taking a pillow, roll it in half long ways. I'll stack the blanket on top of it, so it might take you just a few moments to get the prop set up. No problem. Once we're here, we get to settle in a while. So Jake is resting his right hip on the mat, and he's going to recline down such that his side body drapes over the big rolled blankets. And then he can extend his bottom arm down to use as a pillow. And I'll roll up a towel here and just give him a little extra cushion for his head. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. Top arm reaches overhead to add a nice big stretch in the side body and the lats. And then you've got a few different options with your knees. So keeping the knees bent is probably the most gentle. Wherever is comfortable is perfect for you, so you don't have to change a thing. If you wanted to add a little bit more, you can straighten the legs somewhat and scissor them, moving the top leg back and the bottom leg forward. So that split will help you feel balanced. And the opening on the top hip gives you a really nice stretch in the hip flexors here, which if you're an athlete can be quite tight. So Again, take your time, get settled in. It's fine if you need to fidget with your props for a moment, but then settle into stillness. Slow your breath down. Close your eyes and feel your body relax. Notice the sensation of compression on your lower side body, offering a nice massage to your abdominal organs. And notice the spaciousness on the upper side of your body. There is a Sanskrit word in yoga, kaya stira, and it means that when the body is still, the mind can become still. So drop deep down into yourself, into that place where the world is no longer spinning, and just appreciate, enjoy the sensation of your breath moving in and out. Notice the way your breath expands all those little muscles in between your ribs. Notice the space both within you and around you. Let even the muscles in your face soften here. The space between your eyebrows, the muscles behind your eyes, your cheeks, your lips, your tongue. Let the entire body soften. We use this practice to become aware of all those places where we have a tendency to close off, to contract, and instead choose to become more open, more radiant, more expansive. So feel every breath softening around the edges. Allowing you to become more sensitive, more perceptive. you're newer to a restorative or more meditative practice, you might just notice your reaction to stillness and silence. Without judgment, there's no right or wrong. This too is a practice. Slowly begin to make your way out of this pose. Bend your knees back and toward your chest. You can relax that top arm down and slowly push yourself back up to a seat. We'll set up for a supported chest expansion with butterfly next. This is one of my all-time favorite yoga poses. So you might be able to just go from here and roll over onto your back. We'll still need these stacked up props that would simulate a bolster. So roll onto your back and then recline down so your stacked props are just underneath your heart, right between the shoulder blades or about at the bra line. And then recline down. You can give yourself a pillow here, a block, towel, blanket, pillow, just something so you're not cranking the head back super far. Bring the arms up overhead into a cactus or a goalpost position. And then you've got a couple options with the feet. You could leave them extended as Jake has them here. You could leave your feet flat on the floor. That would be fine as well with your knees bent. Or if you'd like to add a really nice hip stretch, you can bring the soles of your feet together and your knees wide, and that's butterfly. You want your hips resting on the ground no matter what. And I'm going to have Jake scoot toward the hallway just a little bit so the props are more underneath his heart rather than the mid-back. If your arms don't rest to the floor all the way, you could take any of your props, I'll lift up just for a moment, and rest the arm on something. So we don't want the joints dangling in space, but here in this restorative practice, we'll keep them nice and supported so that we can let go of holding rather than contracting even more in protection. If your knees don't rest on the floor, or if your inner thighs feel strained, you could slide that stack of books or whatever props you have at home to support the thighs, and know that you can adjust at any time. So if the arms become too much, you can slide them down by your side, palms facing up. And if your inner thighs start to feel strained, or if you feel pain, we never want to feel pain. That means we've gone too far. You could extend the legs long. So listen to your body, honor your limitations, and let pleasure be your practice. Do what feels good. Once again, return to those long, slow, deep yogic breaths. Feel your body continue to open. I like to think of inhales as a flashlight looking around in all the dark corners. And our exhales as the broom, sweeping out any of the cobwebs. Let go of that stagnant, stuck energy. Feel your shoulders soften down toward the earth. Feel your head rest heavy. Feel all the walls walls around your heart begin to melt. Take a breath down into your hips, your groin, your inner thighs. Notice if there's anything that you're ready to let go of. If you could invite in a little more ease with each and every breath. You could take a breath into your entire back body, feel it expand down into the earth. If it resonates with you, if it feels true, you could softly, silently hear the mantra, "May all beings be happy and free from suffering." Extending that heartfelt wish to the people you love, the people you know, and perhaps radiating even wider to all the beating hearts on this planet. May all beings be happy and free from suffering. Take one more deep, expansive breath in here. Slowly, at your own pace, start to bring your arms down by your side. If your knees are wide, use your hands rather than the muscles in the legs to fold your knees back together like a book. And then roll on to your opposite hip for the other side of our side stretch in half moon. So for Jake, that means his left hip will be down on the mat. Props will stay exactly the same. So right hip resting on the earth. You want your props ideally in the soft, fleshy part of your body, right between the hip bone and the ribs. Extend your bottom arm underneath you to use as a pillow, and set yourself up with as many blankets or cushions as you need here, beneath the bottom arm, between your head and your arm. And then when you feel ready, reach the top arm up overhead. Palm faces down. Find somewhere that you're able to rest that. And set up your legs however you'd like. Again, there's no right or wrong here. Bent knees is fine. You do want to feel balanced and not like you're holding yourself up from falling over. But if you want to add that hip flexor stretch, scissor your legs slightly, moving bottom leg forward and top leg back slightly. You kind of have to play around. Find that spot where you feel balanced. You get a nice stretch. And then return to stillness. A little bit of pressure down in the abdomen on each side helps our digestive system work more efficiently. You can really notice the fullness of each breath on the upper side lungs. Listening for your breath, feeling your body, feeling that connection to all of life around you. As many times as you catch yourself somewhere else, in some story or in some thought, gently return your awareness back to your breath, back to the present moment. And in this way, we can learn to really make our mind one-pointed, directing it rather than letting it direct us. Take one more deep breath in here. Let it all go. And then bring that top arm down in front of you to the mat so you can push yourself up to a seat. And from here, we'll set up for a supported bridge pose. So come on up to a seat. Again, stay lazy, stay slow, relax, and as best you can, aware of your body, even as you move. Roll over onto your back. Recline down onto your mat. And then bend your knees so that your feet rest flat on the floor. Let your hands rest by your side and press into your heels until you can lift your hips up off the floor. Good. And then slide your bolster-like props underneath your low back. Does that feel okay? So you want to be able to just rest all your weight down. You're not holding yourself up in any way. The legs aren't working. Your feet are flat on the floor though. We'll start here. You can rest your hands on your belly as Jake has or by your side. Resting your palms face up helps to open your shoulders. Again, preventing that crunching or balancing it out. You can really release tension in the low back here in this shape. And we also get the benefits of an inversion or having heart overhead. So symbolically, this allows us to tune in to the wisdom not just of our head, but also the consciousness of our hearts. In addition to a lot of blood flow to the brain, And this pose is also believed to balance the thyroid and the parathyroid glands. Feel the groundedness of your feet as they rest on the earth. Relax your ankles, your calves, your knees, your thighs. Relax your hips, your low back. Let your shoulders rest heavily into the mat. Unhinge your lower jaw and let your tongue soften away from the roof of your mouth. You might notice how the quality of your breath has shifted since we first began class. What's new? You can stay right here if this is comfortable. I'll offer an option just in case you want to try, which will again open up the hip flexors where the upper and lower body meet. So if you'd like to try that, you can try straightening one or both legs into pontoon or drawbridge. So extending your heels long to the end of your mat. For some people, this creates pinching in the low back. If that's the case, then you just want to come to our starting position, return to the bent knees with your feet flat on the floor. If this doesn't create pain, you might rest your hands right on the front of the pelvis and imagine you could deepen your breath to create some space here. Feel those muscles lengthen. Feel the interconnectedness of your entire body as you breathe. And then gradually begin to bend back into your knees. Bring your feet flat to the floor. Drive down through your heels until you can lift your hips up off the floor and take your props out of the way. Good. Release your low back to the mat. Draw your knees in toward your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze, wrapping arms around the shins if you can. Feel that slight compression in the hip joints. If it feels good, you can rock side to side or draw circles around your low back. So any intuitive movements here that feel good. Good, and then leave your knees in toward your chest. Release your hands out to the side, wide into a capital T shape if you can, or again, the cactus or goalpost with elbows bent, and let both knees drop over to the right. We'll take a supine twist. If it feels good to shift your hips a little bit to the left, you're welcome to do that. If your knees don't reach the floor, you can let them rest on any of your props. And if there's any tension in your low back here, you can grab a pillow, block, blanket, towel, whatever you got, and slide it in between your knees. If those aren't necessary, you don't have to use them, only if they make you feel even more supported. And then you want to soften your left shoulder down to the mat as your knees fall over to the right. As long as it doesn't create pain in your neck, shift your gaze over to the left completing the twist all the way up your cervical spine or your neck. If that doesn't feel good, go back to the starting position with your chin in line with your chest. You might feel, visualize, or imagine your inhales as they come in through your nose. Follow them down through your spine, all the way down to your tailbone. And as you exhale, follow your breath back up and out, up the spine, and out through your nose. Relaxing all those muscles along the spine that keep us upright as we coax our body into its fullest range of motion. If you're practicing live here with us, you can feel yourself attuning to nature as you settle down as the sun goes down. Each breath invites in deeper relaxation. Engage your core just slightly. Lift your knees back up to center. And then shift over to the other side of your twist. Perhaps your hips scoot right so that your knees can follow over to the left. Right shoulder stays heavy as your knees soften down in the opposite direction. Again, you can take a blanket in between your thighs here for some additional support in your low back, and gaze over to the right as long as it doesn't create strain in your neck. And become more sensitive. Notice what's happening in your body and feel if there are any differences from one side to the other. See if you can feel the entire body all at once. So rather than existing just in your head, see if you can feel the soles of your feet, your belly, your chest, your hands, the crown of your head, all at the same time. And then extend your awareness even further to feel above you and below. In front and behind, in all directions. Let your awareness become really expansive. Notice what it is that you can notice. in your practice you do encounter discomfort or resistance, try not to change it. You don't need to fix it. Just hold it with compassion, with that even mind that you notice anything else that might come up. Feeling each smooth breath in and easy, relaxing breath out. Just a few more breaths here, letting the body soften, any tension dissolve. And when you feel ready, gently lift your knees back up to center. You can release your props out of the way. Take one more final hug. Draw your knees in toward your chest. Wrap your arms around your shin. Give yourself a good squeeze, some self-love. And we'll settle in for our final posture of the evening, Shavasana, or corpse pose. So you don't need any props at all for this shape. You can just extend your legs long, reclining on your back. If your low back needs some support, take a rolled up blanket or your pillows or your blocks and slide them underneath your knees. And let yourself take up a lot of space here. So the full space of your mat, you can let your feet splay wide, let your palms rest wide, facing up. You might tuck your shoulders underneath you ever so gently. And just get out any final wiggles or movement here. Ask yourself if you could be 10% more comfortable, what would it take? Take one final breath in. And allow your exhale to completely melt the full weight of your body into the earth. Turn a blanket. Let yourself become so heavy that you could leave an imprint in wet sand. Feel your bones start to get heavy toward your back body. Let your muscles soften. And here you can let go of all effort, even to notice the breath. Just let yourself let go, and I'll call you back when it's time. your mind does still feel quite chattery and you want to give it a job, you might use a very simple mantra. As you inhale, think to yourself, I am aware. As you exhale, I am at ease. Completely relax from your head down to your toes. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. Give yourself this opportunity to really relish these moments all to yourself. For this final moment, I encourage you to cultivate a sense of gratitude for whatever it is in your life that you're thankful for in this moment. Perhaps just your discipline, your sadhana to show up for your yoga practice today. Notice how gratitude feels in your body. Know that you can stay here and rest in Shavasana as long as you would like, but when you're ready, you can slowly start to take a deeper breath. Start to reanimate your fingers and your toes with some small movements. And eventually, bring your arms up overhead and a full body stretch as if you just woke up. You can unhinge the lower jaw like a big yawn. And then slowly roll over onto one side, support your head with your bottom arm and curl your knees in. Pause for a moment, easing that transition back up to a seat. And then slowly press yourself up to any comfortable seated posture. Carry this feeling of Shavasana with you as long as you can. And I'd like to close our practice with one full breath in and out and one Om chant. Feel free to join in out loud or just listen silently, whatever feels best to you. So just for a moment, find that tall, comfortable seat and notice the effects of our practice. What has shifted in your body, your mind, your spirit? Notice the sense of spaciousness you might have created. And then bring your hands together at your heart center. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Top of the next breath, we'll chant. Inhale. Om. I'm so grateful for you all practicing with me, for sharing your presence, for elevating our entire collective consciousness. Bow your head into your hands. Thank yourself for showing up today, for your presence. And we bow to that beautiful light and wisdom in each person. Namaste. Thank you for joining Movement. Again, my name is Amy Wansing. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Amy Wansing Yoga. That will be in the description. Please feel free to share this video with as many people as you think would find it helpful. Tune in to all the movement locations, all the Earth Treks and Planet Granite locations for live streaming of fitness and yoga classes. And there's a link in the bio of Instagram if you would like to see all the archives of the fitness and yoga classes from Movement. Thanks for joining. Have a beautiful evening. Namaste.